Hello, Dr. Chakrageous. Dr. Chakrageous, this is your random general read for all signs. Right now I'm just doing all signs. Speaking from a perspective of spiritual available for I won't say intervention, but moments of necessity for chakra guidance. Well, not guidance. Chakra righteousness. It's putting together that righteousness that would be of necessity, that's just there in ways where the Eight of Cups, looking back on past accomplishments while looking forward to understanding the time differential, and also with the compare of what you would not want to present the self as or be perceived as, and also in a way of understanding that conquering only goes so far. Therefore, at points where conquering doesn't seem conquerable, nor does it seem testable in segments, exactly what proportion of the Knight of Guidons what portion of the Knight of Guidons is actually appropriate, and anything else that's inappropriate. Anything else that's inappropriate would be deemed as justified celebration. But at what point does the celebration in the past seem feasible? The celebration must be of authenticity and ongoing support that does not hinder. And it also has to consist of the identity not being utilized as the only isotope. So going beyond the actual composition of an individual in fullness, in greatness. At what point does the great enough present itself in a way where it doesn't involve critique? And without critique, the total animal of a cricket becomes the necessary communicative symbol. And having it where it's the heart chakra, but actually at the respect of the throat chakra meeting the brow chakra. So it's being able to speak for who you are. It's being able to stay silent, and your silence lasts longer than conversation. And even with conversation, sometime being in weak presences of a different propensity creates that green chakra, because having to have that opportunity to provide several eggs, times hundreds, millions, and so forth, points of good health and fertility also. So having those moments where you're silent amongst individuals that actually provide some type of gratitude to your existence, they also are attentive to your silence and will not take your silence as opportunity. So therefore, having the Four of Guidons and the Four of Guidons of celebration, it's either self-servient, or it's also a mimic of the self that is of the whole character purpose, in contrast to anything outside. So it's two individuals that have traveled a parallel path, although the congruent difference is justification. So having justification as a reason of Eight of Cups, and then you have the Knight of Guidons and the Queen of Guidons with the Queen of Pentacles. So it's having that opportunity to look at what an individual has conquered and succeeded as an individual, to say there is an opportunity to style different, to honestly have a way to value different, to honestly have a way to see and contrast and compare. But where there is no contrast and no compare, just understand that in the movements, then that's when the justification of God, beyond God, righteousness, because the name varies. And in chaplaincy, I would say God, but in the DR.CHAKRAGEOUS, I say something else. But at the same time, it is of not of publicity, it's of personal righteousness, and it is what is necessary of just by way of existing. So therefore, having the opportunity to exist in a way that is figured out, very figured out, and devout, with righteousness that has sought for longevity, and therefore having to have that, I won't say a pair of keys, but beyond a parakeet and into the parochial opportunity of several toucans. I would say that of that totem animal, the necessary opportunity to communicate effective beyond personal reasons, but for moments of justification of being heard, justification of being respected, justification of the silence being of medicinal purpose, not interrupted, yet valued, yet not scrutinized. And beyond scrutiny, the actual opportunity to say, therefore, when there was a difference of righteousness, there's a difference in praise, there's a difference in stamina, there's a difference in actual purity, and the reason to say there's an upward time interval of opportune oxygen to take it up with righteousness in conversion of conversation without interruption, yet it's the proper, opportunity to understand the true meaning of a synchronicity, even if the opportunity to have the opportunity to draw, count, shape, wait, verbalize, create, and so forth and so forth. It's the opportunity to know the option to not just count, but to actually mount without the A existing as a beginning of the only exceptional beginning integer to worship. Therefore, it's going beyond the necessary. Yes, a special invite to the type of individual identity, and upon allowing the individual identity to exist in rights and righteousness, and in all due respect to just natural, well, not natural, default. So beyond default being of depletion, it's just of exact measurement of the beginning of righteousness to continue in continuity without interruption nor compare. It's the opportunity for righteousness to already be of grasp, attached, not just come here. And then it's also shared in the presence of come there. Therefore, as we provide the proper intake with the proper pause of interval for digestion and metabolism without question, it's having that individual self-defense. It's creating that necessary medicinal increment that no other individual can actually ask for a partial or a portion of the ion that is only sold for the individual. And by it being only for the individual, it makes it medicinal. It makes it its own blood type. It makes it its own plasma. It makes it its own viewpoint of its own width. And beyond the width of watching, it makes it its own seriousness. And beyond it being self-centered, it's also cultivated. And when it's cultivated, there's time that it has to have created, considered, amounted to. And knowing that the necessary avoid is beyond the pullback of an actual automated sling. It's also being there to say that if it was meant to go and release immediately, then the righteousness of a different intervention of the Most High beyond the necessary need of substance is just of refusal of rebuke, and it just exists. Then it shall have been, and shall be. But by it being of an existence that exists just because timing has defined the release and allowed the individual to actually stay present in the presence of the opportunity for the silence of the Most High, to understand itself, even without the scrutiny of saying that the questions necessary to ask are there, without the need for a receiver to deny or supply the actual answers. Exactly how sacred and how protected is the actual concept of the Most High, beyond the substance. So without sustenance, how can there be substance? How can there be an organism that is of mechanical use? And what is the true meaning of listening to thyself beyond hearing yourself talk? Therefore, excuse me. Therefore, it's just, you have the Queen of Pentacles in the past, and then you have the Four of Guidons in the past, but one is of celebration and the other one is of the liberation of thyself from cellular compromise due to having been concurred to individuals that needed to actually be conquered. Beyond the conquering of the individual, they cannot ask for the same supplements as provisional. You cannot provide them with the same nourishment, and therefore that moment you change the nourishment, you change the soul. Or if the soul goes beyond having greater days beyond worse days, then even in the most greatest silence, depression is avoided, but also the intensity is there. So therefore the conquering of it, becomes of itself. So as the conquering of it becomes of itself, exactly what difference is made? What difference? Yeah. What difference is made? It's different. It is. It's very different. Then you have the Six of Swords. So we have different approaches that seem to approach with the Five of Guidons. But the Five of Guidons is of the Queen of Pentacles. So therefore, even in the feminine emotional availability, then the actual approach of an individual of a different type of intent, even in their maliciousness, is heard by the Most High Divine Mother Earth, and then so far and so forward, even the most. And then therefore, the actual removal of misappropriation of any kind of divide or any kind of anger, any kind of anger held within the body becomes a different type of wheat. And with that particular type of wheat, then what kind of actual measurement is there? And when I say a different type of wheat, it's just as a different type of metabolism that sits at the body even beyond the impossible. So beyond impossible, what is possible, yet given the opportunity to actually exist, how can it not? But beyond manipulative and staying focused more just in the beyond more and just, it's just, it's just pertinent to understand the true authenticity of being respectful. And even in the presence of respect beyond excuse, that is the difference, but beyond the difference when an individual is of the true time management of greatness. How far forward and how far in presence do we have to provide beyond a collective plate to only focus from? But what about the entire provisional? So to supply the entire provisional would actually concur and consist of, would confer and consist of certain things that either can benefit the body within conference of thyself as a solution, or can conquer the time limit of a, well, there's no such thing as that word, but the I'm it, and being able to say it's findable in present time, as opposed to avoiding the the X and Y axes of the soul, would create the Seven of Pentacles. But beyond the Seven of Pentacles being there, exactly what was just there, and that was just you have the Seven of Pentacles, the Emperor, and the Justice card. And the Emperor can only be there if the Three of Guidons is enacted by the Justice card. And you have the Sun card and you have the Emperor. You have the Sun card and the Hermit and the Three of Pentacles, because you have the how can you truly show up and what actions to create within the root chakra and also the throat chakra. So beyond the root and the throat chakra being there, what other propensities are there to focus on, to take care of? That's the true meaning of the Seven Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles. So therefore, having that Seven of Pentacles around thyself and having just three options, having three options only leads to the protective measure actually being of just realism, in ways where the opportunity to stay present in the first establishment of the trying to think. The first establishment of identity, but identity non-compromisable, because at what point is the establishment of identity easy? Therefore, once established, don't covet. And beyond having the opportunity to covet, then the opportunity to actually value thyself in ways that shown approved are there, then in exactly what ways is honor being given to the body? And also, beyond question, with the necessity of natural hors d'oeuvre to the soul, it's the exemplification of individual alert. So having to provide being first in your life, beyond having to have a mantra that is even beyond repair, beyond monsteria. Yet having that guaranteed greatness of unconditional, and providing that effort and interval that does create at most greatness. This is 7, 7, 28, 3 and 3. So therefore, just that would be the spiritual. Let me see what messages are there for the self-protection, self-respect. Some you might have to go on a fast. 10 of Pentacles, 5 of Guidons, 3 of Pentacles, 7 of Swords, 2 of Cups. So it's having that 7 of Pentacles. So it's reach and the Queen of Cups. So it's moving forward without manipulation, having that 10 of Pentacles go with the 5 of Guidons vigor and pursuant, and finding that beyond having fought for what the 5 of Guidons is the strongest, because even having the 10 of Guidons, it's the showing that when you have something that is effective, then you have the 3 of Pentacles there to say, here's the agreement, but beyond Beyond the Three of Pentacles, it's understanding that before you sit at the Three of Pentacles over and over and over, and then just being a recurrent to the point where you're actually a part of an individual's pentacle. As an individual keeps presenting themselves, you can show yourself so much that by the time they look down, all you appear as is right there at the pinnacle. So therefore, to make sure you have your own identity and show up in the Two of Cups in a moment that's beyond the momentum and becoming the Queen of Cups. But that is the emotionally balanced individual that is beyond tell what's doable. Yet it's an individual that can listen and stay attentive at all times in the activeness of thy soul. So it's going from one dimension to a different dimension, and it's also creating that that particular part of the self that is strong, necessary, devout, triumphant. It's going to the point of having that collective spiritual balance with the Ten of Cups, Nine of Guidons, and the Ace of Cups. It's having that one way to look at things to the point where the Nine of Guidons or Nine of Swords, Nine of Thoughts become the Ten of Cups in the present and at all times. Actually, it's a grown emotion that's grown by the moment. Began from the beginning of life. It's your response to the opportunity to educate, and it's also the response to the opportunity to provide self-care. So it's that pure conversational that's there without disrespect or disregard. It's the Four of Guidons and the High Priestess. Well, actually, the spiritual card is what I would call it, with the Death card. So therefore, it's the change from being an individual that's available to a achieved individual, but it creates the Nine of Guidons. But when you at the Ace of Guidons, it's like, well, you got the Justice card. So you have that as opposed to having the Six of Guidons, which is a potential opportunity to approach your loved ones. So before you talk about the loved ones, which is the Three of Guidons, and then you get to the Seven of Guidons, is having the opportunity to just balance out the identity of not saying no, that this isn't this and this isn't that. It's just that sometimes if individuals are a part of you, then it's the opportunity to avoid different type of attacks from different beliefs for different timing. So it's having the opportunity to say that what would be required elsewhere isn't required thus far, and nor should it actually be looked sought after or looked toable, I should say. I wouldn't say sought after because it's so you ought to. We don't do that. So we don't sought after, seek after. We don't boundary break. But what we do is define our actual available self and continue to just stay of that greatness. This is also a card of the divine feminine having to go into physical moments to obscure the self from such an occurrence. So it's having that opportunity to say what should exist does exist, but it exists at a propensity of just greatness. So therefore, reading about any kind of health, you got the Hangman. So therefore, anything is of your time essence, and you got the Loves card, and you got the Ace of Guidons, and you have Beliefs and Believe. So therefore, if anybody's conquering anything, you have the Waning Moon that takes away a lot of medicinal difficulties, and we've just faced that medicinal difficulty. So it's having that opportunity to say, Seven of Cups, Two of Guidons. It's having that opportunity. It's like being a part of a scientific lab and you just doing your study, and then you got the Two of Guidons. It's self-analysis, but it's also a great necessity, because being of an individual that can actually have trustworthy questions to answer, and just ways to view things. Excuse me. Then at what cost? At what cost is the actual provisional that provides a certain type of conquering? So anyway, yeah. So anyway, I'm Dr. Chakrageous. This has been your not quick, but your reading thus far for this month. And just congratulations for those that have stayed a part of this walk towards just one step at a time of greatness. And without fault or any other energy. It's just of support. So therefore of greatness only. And having that opportunity to just have that moment to actually clarify thyself without losing thyself or giving of thyself to energies that wouldn't care about the progress thus far from where an individual won't return to of being. It's protecting the being of an individual. So congratulations. Namaste. Well, not namaste, but Izakra. Izakra. Not Izakra. Izakra. I'm Dr. Chakrageous.